Hello everyone, this is Ravinder Dundra and welcome to my channel. In this lecture, we will start a new chapter from economics class 9th, that is people as resource. In the previous lectures from this class, we have already discussed about this chapter called the story of village Palampur. In that, we have seen factors of production. So in that factors of production, mainly we have discussed about this land, labor, physical capital as well as human capital. And the fourth one, hope you all have remembered, that is human capital. So in this chapter we are mainly going to discuss about this human capital only. What is human capital, how it is formed. But before that, let us discuss some of the introductory points about this chapter. So what is the main aim of the chapter? The main aim of the chapter is to show that population as an asset rather than liability. Let me clarify what do you mean by this asset as well as liability. Asset means, simply you can say, the properties which you hold at the same time which are useful for you. Then liability means which are burden to you, which you are supposed to pay to the others, or you can see you feel something as a burden. So those items can be considered as this liability. Then what is the, how we can show that a population as an asset rather than the liability, how we can convert them into a useful asset. So how we can convert is that by changing the population into something known as this human capital. That means how human capital comes, how a normal person can become a human capital, or what is this human capital. So we will discuss all these things now. So any person, any normal person can become a human resource by investing in two important things. One is investment in education, at the same time investment in medical care, which turns a normal person into a human capital. Then you may ask again the basic question, what do you mean by this investment? Investment means, simply you can say, spending money in the present, at the same time expecting returns in future. Suppose you are spending money on a person's education as well as medical care, you can expect more returns in the future. So that is what this investment. So if government or if any person invests money in education as well as medical care, a normal person can be turned into this human capital. Then the question arises, what is this human capital? Human capital means what? Human capital means, human capital is the stock of skills and productive knowledge. That means if a person possesses some skills as well as some knowledge which is useful to the society, which is useful to himself, him or herself, we can call that person as a human capital. A person who possesses some kind of skills, at the same time some kind of productive knowledge, which makes the normal person into a human capital. Then the title of the chapter says this, people as resource. What do you mean by people as resource? When we can consider a person as a resource, when we will consider, or what is this people as resource, is that it is a way of referring to the country's working people in terms of their existing productive skills as well as abilities. That means, you see, already there are some people in the country who possess some kind of productive knowledge, who possess some kind of skills. So those people who are at present working in the country with some kind of skills and knowledge, we can consider them as a resource persons. And these resource persons can be useful in different ways. So next we will discuss about this specifications, or you can say in particular we will discuss about this what is this human capital, how it is formed. Let us discuss about this, what do you mean by this human capital formation. Till now we have seen human capital. What do you mean by human capital? It is the investment made in education as well as health of a person can turn a normal person into a human capital. Then what do you mean by this human capital formation? Human capital formation means, you can see, when existing human resource about which we have already discussed, what do you mean by this human resource? See, if it is further developed by becoming more educated and more healthy, that we call it as this human capital formation. That means already a person is considered as a human resource because of his knowledge and skills, but still if he further develop his knowledge, his skills, his health even more better, means that formation we call it as this human capital formation. And you all know that this investment in human capital yields higher returns such as higher incomes. That means if you invest as much as in education as well as health, in future it returns more and more in the form of incomes. Suppose a person is well educated, he got well knowledge, very healthy, he can start a company, he can produce, he can start a new software, or he can invent some new things. So like this, there are many ways which are highly which are highly useful and which can make a normal person into a more superior person, just because if we invest in health as well as education of a person. Then apart from this one's own individual, that means if we invest in education as well as health, sometimes it is not only benefit for that one person, but it is also benefit to the society indirectly. How it is benefited to the society? Suppose in a place one person is educated, he got good job, good salary, then by seeing him, the people who are surrounded around him will also develop, will also get education, will also get salaries or higher income. So like this, the entire society will be benefited because of this human capital formation. Then in fact, this human resource about which we have seen is more superior to other resources. What are the other factors of production which we have seen? Land, labor, as well as this physical capital. But compared to these three things, human capital or human resource is more superior than this land, labor or capital. Not labor, land as well as capital. Why? Because land and capital, they cannot use on their own. Land cannot use it cannot cultivate on its own, it cannot construct any building on its own, or capital also it cannot be used on its own. So who requires to use this land, who requires to use this capital is this human capital is required. That means the person who possesses productive knowledge and skills, he or she is required to develop this land, to develop this capital. So that is the reason human capital is more superior to than other factors of production such as land as well as this capital. So by next what we will do is that by taking a story which is given from the textbook, we can understand the difference between a normal person as well as a human resource person. So let us read that, let us discuss about that story. For many centuries or from many decades, you all know that India is one of the very largest populated country in the world, and people used to feel this large population as a liability for this country. That means always people used to feel that it would be a liability, at the same time it would be a burden for the country because of its huge population. But later on, what people have also discovered is that by investing money in education, by investing money in health of a person, can be turned a person into an asset instead of this liability. So how a person can be turned into from an liability to an asset, or what will happen if a person, or if we are not going to invest money in this education as well as health, what are the consequences? So we will learn about these two situations by taking the examples of two stories, that is story of sakal as well as story of this vilas. So first we will discuss about this story of sakal. He was 12 years of old. His mother name is this Sheila. She works as a domestic worker. At the same time, his father name is Bhutta Chaudhary. He works in a agriculture field, and he has an uncle who has completed his matriculation, and he was sitting idle in the home. Then by seeing this his uncle, and because of his parents, this sakal, he was joined in the school. Then after joining in the school, he was somewhat meritorious student. He used to go attend the school regularly, and finally he has completed successfully this higher secondary examination. He passed in this higher secondary examination with a good percentage of marks, and after that he wants to continue this studies. Therefore his father as well as mother, they encouraged him to go for higher studies by taking some loan in the bank. And after completing this higher secondary education, this sakal, he joined in an vocational course which is somewhat related to this computers. And after completing this vocational course, he successfully got a software job in this private company, because study is related to these computers. So he got a job in this private company, a software job, and soon after getting the job, now he is getting the salary. He has become a employer, sorry, he has become an employee. Then after some days, what happened, since he is very meritorious, he is very talented, he designed a new software, and by seeing his talent and by seeing his knowledge, his boss, who is the owner of this private company, has given some promotion also. That means he promoted from lower level to the higher level. And because why, he has more and more knowledge, at the same time he designed this new software which has increased the productivity of this company and which has boosted the profits of this company. Therefore his boss has given some credits by giving this promotion. So from this, what we can understand is that by investing the money, his father and mother, they have invested some money in his education. At the same time, they have also taken care about his health. Because of this, he got a good job. At the same time, he has also got this promotion, and now he is earning some money. So this is about the story of this sakal. Next we will see the story of vilas. Then we can understand, we can compare what happens if we invest money, what happens if we don't invest money in this education as well as health. Let us discuss about the story of vilas, who also resides in the same village as sakal, but here the story is completely different. So we will see the story about this vilas. So this vilas, he is 11 years old, resides in the same village as sakal, and his father was a fisherman, but unfortunately he passed away when vilas was only 2 years old. Then after his death of his father, mother started taking care about this family, and what she used to do is that she used to sell fish in the market, and from where she used to get that fish, she used to go to a nearby pond and buys that fish, and she used to sell it in the nearby market. And for that she just hardly used to earn only 150 rupees per day by selling this fish. And at the same time, there is some problem with this vilas. What is that? He is a patient of this arthritis. Arthritis means a kind of disease in which the legs will get swollen, or it would become very difficult to walk also sometimes. So this, he is a patient of arthritis, and his mother is earning only 150 rupees per day. Therefore she was unable to take him to the hospital also. That means he has not given much preference about his medical or health condition. Then because of that, he could not go to the school. At the same time, he was also not interested in going to the school, and he wants to help his mother. At the same time, he wanted to take care of his younger brother. Why? Because he is already a patient. And why he could not go to the hospital? Because his mother is earning very little. So therefore he decided not to go to school, or he was not even interested in attending the school. So what he chosen, he started helping his mother in cooking or in other activities. At the same time, he also has started taking care about his younger brother. And finally, what happened after many years, after taking care of about his younger brother, and after doing other activities, finally he was also forced to sell the fish in the market. So from this, what we can understand, when we compare the stories of sakal, vilas, sakal, he got education, he was a meritorious student, and he got some job, he is getting some salaries. Then take about the vilas, he is not interested in studies, he did not attend the school, and he was not healthy. Then finally he was doing the same work that is done by his parents. So therefore what we can conclude here is that if we invest money in the education as well as health of a person, if we take care about his medical condition, health condition, as well as his education, it will give more and more returns in the future, and it turns that person's life into a very bright and beautiful future. But here in the story, one is succeeded in his life, but the other one is doing the same work which his parents were doing. So from this, we can say investment in education and health is very, very important. Not only sakal and vilas, any child in the country, if we invest money here, both in health and as well as education, it gives more returns, and it also forms something known as a virtuous cycle. If we invest money in education as well as health, it gives virtuous cycle. Virtuous cycle means, you can say, which is profitable, which is benefited to the people. Suppose take this sakal, he is educated, then his son may also get educated, at the same time his son. So like this it would become a cycle of what, it would become something like a virtuous cycle where all the sons, or you can say all the next generations, may have chances of earning more and more money, and it will also improve the standard of living of these families. Suppose take this villa story. He was not educated, and same thing, he may not be affordable to send his children also to the school. Why? Because he was selling the fish. So therefore here what would happen, because of this situation, it may also turn something into a vicious cycle. So vicious means what? Which is very very dangerous, or which is not profitable to the people. So if we invest money in education and health, it turns the person into a virtuous cycle, or it keeps them into a virtuous cycle. And if we invest money in the if you don't invest money, it may fall into vicious cycle, which is not good for this society, which may also lead to something known as this poverty. So what we are trying to say is that invest money in health as well as education. If you take some of the countries such as Japan or Singapore or any other countries, you see here the natural resources are very less, but still these countries are considered as very well developed. How? Because why? Because and how and why? Because they have started investing money, especially in these human resources. They invested money in health, they invested money in education, which made those countries into rich as well as well developed countries. So in the similar way, if we want to develop our country, if we need to make our country more developed, the only thing which we need to do is only two things. One is health as well as education. So that's why sometimes there is a saying that this education and health are the assets of this poor man. They are the only assets of this poor man, nothing else for this poor man. So health as well as education are very very important in the development of a country. In the next lecture we will discuss about this economic activities as well as non-economic activities. Thank you.